sending minutes in 298 language to Martin County, Palm Beach County, and South Florida Water Management District regarding outside landowners obtaining a permit from PalMar. At the last meeting, the board directed us to send our minutes and 298 language to those entities, Martin County, Palm Beach County, and South Florida Water Management District, to remind them that they are, whenever they are approving any culverts or any work being done that crosses into PalMar, that they are supposed to be requiring that landowner or that person to contact PalMar, which they have not been doing in the past. As you know from earlier in the meeting, those minutes are not done yet, so those have not been sent. As soon as I get those minutes completed and I get with Mary on the exact 298 language that needs to be included, we will send that over to the entities that were listed. So that just, it hasn't gotten around because we just made this decision a couple weeks ago and haven't gotten around to it. So. All right. Consider, item number 6, consider amending the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. This is going to be in your books on page 8. So, at our last meeting, we approved a kind of in the middle number. I had originally presented a budget at $9, which is closer to where we were prior to South Florida and Martin County stopping assessment payment. I also presented a budget at $22, which is what we've had for the last several years. The board settled on a figure of $15 and directed us to bring this back. This budget is basically a budget at that $15. And basically what we did is we taking the new assessment amount of $15, because at the time the discussion on the mowing was still up in the air. We had a quote for this year, 68. We didn't know what it was going to be in future years. I just put in an even 100,000, kept most of the other items the same, with the exception of the management contract. If you go a couple line items down and look at that yellow column, you'll see that the management contract is now at 36. In prior years, it was 24. Here's my spiel. We took over this district as managers back in 2006. At that time, we presented a contract for $24,000. Our direction was this district would meet very infrequently. There would be very little to do, and the anticipated point of us really being brought on was to dissolve the district. The district did not get, well, we went through all the process of getting the district dissolved. It was shot down by the governor. This district does not meet infrequently. This district does not require minimal attention from our office, and we have not increased our rates in, 16 years? So, I'm going to be the asshole that says we need more money. Quite frankly, at $24,000, you guys aren't worth our time anymore. It is just too much for our office to keep up with. So I put in $36,000. I did not bring an updated contract for you guys to approve. If the board so chooses to approve an updated budget with $36,000 in there, we will bring back an official contract for our office that has that $36,000 language in it. Other than that, even with the $100,000 in maintenance and the $36,000 in increase in management, we still had, at $15, we still had funds in excess of what we would normally consider for our other line items. So you'll see that miscellaneous is at $50,000. That's just to make the numbers balance out at $15. With that all being said, you have the ability at this time only to lower it from 15. We cannot go above 15. We can either keep it at 15, we can lower it at 15, and if we lower it at 15, obviously we would remove funds from miscellaneous and or miscellaneous maintenance, and depending on what the board decides on our maintenance contract, or on our management contract. With that, I open it up to the board on their pleasure.
Well, we also have a $30,000 increase in legal.
Right, but I think we had that in the budget that we had proposed earlier. I don't recall, but that's based on.
But that's based on billed fees, so maybe.
Right, that's based on what we've been. I mean, last year we had Last year alone, we had fees of $50,000 in legal. So that's more based on what we actually think is going to happen.
It was in the $9 assessment.
So, right, yeah, so I'm pointing out the 36 because the 36 was not in the $9 assessment or the $22 assessment. It was still our same 24. But my boss came back and said, that's not going to apply anymore, so.
And why did the maintenance go to $52,285 from $5,000 last year?
That's just the remainder of an equation. So basically at $15 an acre, assuming that the entire, that we collect the full assessment at $15 an acre, after we put in $100,000 for miscellaneous, for maintenance, and after we increase our fee to $36,000, we still had a bunch of money left over. It goes into miscellaneous. I'll remind the board that in this district, just like all districts, you don't get audited on a line-by-line basis. When we get audited on how we did against our budget, it is total expenses versus revenues. So that $50,000 in miscellaneous is just a placeholder. That $50,000 could be shifted to any line item during the year that's necessary. And if we don't spend the $50,000, or if we don't spend $100,000 in maintenance, any funds that aren't spent simply become part of the district's fund balance. They can be used for any lawful purpose in the future. So that $50,000 is just basically the remainder of a balance, a remainder of an equation to make the numbers work at 15.
Or it could be applied next year to another reduction in assessment.
Absolutely. It would go into fund balance, and if you have excessive fund balance, you can use those fund balances to reduce assessments if needed. Correct.
And I'm okay reducing it from 22 to 15 as we talked about last month.
Well, we've already done that.
I know.
At this point, we can go. Okay.
And what can we reduce it from 15 down to what in order to, and still hold where we're at and be safe?
Well,
So the original proposal was down to 9. 9 kept us kind of where we had been historically prior to South Florida stopping payment. I think the last time we had an assessment prior to when South Florida stopped 5 years ago, it was like $8.60 some odd cents or something like that. So the 9 is kind of where we would have it as a kind of a normal. I don't remember, it looks like Berman might have it in front of him. What did we have the maintenance number at $9?
Miscellaneous maintenance?
The maintenance.
66,785.
Right, so the only difference then is that 66,000 in maintenance would get reduced down to 54,000 because we'd be shifting 12,000 up to our management contract if the board approves said contract increase. So yes, even at $9, everything else would work and we'd still have 50,000 available for maintenance.
In reserves, we have.
Well, that's a net zero balance, so that doesn't tap into reserves. Right now, I know Zach expressed concern that we may lose some of the reserves that we currently have, but assuming that we don't lose anything from Martin County trying to pull back the assessments that they paid, we're sitting around we were sitting around $350,000 in the bank after the payment by Martin County in South Florida. With the contract just approved for mowing, that's going to go down to under 300,000, but still in the high 200,000 range, because we're going to probably spend somewhere in that 65,000 range of it. So if I had to guess right now, by the end of this year, you're probably still sitting somewhere north of $250,000 in the bank going into next year, which is well in excess of our annual budget.
Which I'm happy to. I'm always happy to lower what our taxpayers have to pay, whether it's their taxes or their assessments. I think having a reserve that is the same amount as our annual budget might be a little excessive.
Correct. We typically recommend not letting it go over 50 to 60, although in this case, extenuating circumstances with lawsuits, it was prudent to keep more in the bank because we just don't know how much those lawsuits are going to cost.
Correct. Now, but we do have an expenditure of not to exceed $68,000,
Right.
which is on this budget would come out of miscellaneous maintenance. Is that correct? Out of the 100,000?
Right. It would come out, if we kept it at 15, it would come out at 100,000.
Okay.
Right.
So that leaves us a balance of $32,000 there, which offsets your increase if we decide to give you a 33% increase.
Right. Which could, yeah.
Which
And that still leaves
which leaves
50,000. in
50,000 miscellaneous.
Right.
So if
At $50, yes. that's
we
right.
could technically figure out what the $50,000 miscellaneous would equate to
Oh, dollars?
in dollars for assessments and lower the rate that much.
Correct.
I would be happy with doing that. Is that,
So the $50,000 in miscellaneous is somewhere in the $2.25 range.
okay, so we could lower it to say 12 and still
Right.
be,
I think you would still be
comfortable.
more than comfortable at 12. Right.
Would we be more uncomfortable at 11?
I think you would still be comfortable at 11, yes.
How far down can we keep asking before you?
9. So the question is, the question is, you've approved a one-time contract for $68,000 that will bring our balance, again, estimate, you're going to have a balance of $275,000 at the end of this year, is my estimate. Well, say between $250 and $275. I still don't know what kind of legal surprises we may get between now and the end of the year. So, that's what you will have going into next year. And I don't know that we would be doing another mowing contract in the realm of $68,000 next year. So that is kind of the big trigger. I think you could comfortably get rid of the $50,000 miscellaneous and lower it down to 12. But if you don't think we're going to do another $68,000 mowing maintenance, you could probably, like I said, probably get it all the way back down to that $9 figure and be comfortable. You've got $250,000 in the bank going into next year to use if we run into any shortfalls.
And next year, if we had to raise them again, then next year's next year.
Right. You'd have that $250,000 to carry you, in addition to what we do collect, to go all of next year, and then this time next year, we make a decision, okay, $9 was too low, we need to jack it back up to 12, or $10 was too low, we need to jack it back up to 13, or whatever that is. That's a decision you make next year. I'm saying I think you're comfortable, you've got enough money in the bank, even with the $68,000 coming out, to be comfortable next year, even at that $10 or $9 figure.
And this budget begins September?
So, no, October 1st.
October.
Right, with the majority of the assessments starting to roll in, usually mid to late December or January, is usually when the bulk of the assessments.
And how comfortable are we if we come back with a mowing proposal that suggests that we start mowing in January or February of every year? So we will remow after the rest of this year into January, and to get it into the no-growth cycle, that's generally. So there may be a mowing in there, so
Right.
that's going to not in the budget right now.
Well, at $15, more than enough is in the budget right now.
Right.
At $10, it would be a substantially less number. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. Maybe there's only $20,000 or $30,000 in the maintenance budget. What I'm saying is the $250,000 going into next year in the bank
Yes.
should be enough to make up any shortfall if you decide to go that low. But if then, at that point, if we decide that this is going to be an annual item, then we need to plug it into the
and
budget.
I don't want to go down just to raise it next year. That's not what I want to do. So I would not be in favor of going down to the 9, 10, or 11. I think 12 is a good compromise, and then it gives us a year to figure out if 12 can be sustainable. I really don't want to make it 9 this year and then be faced with having to raise it next year. We're already lowering it from the 22, which it is
Correct.
now. So, and we came up with 15 as an average of the 9 and the 22. Considering we have 50 some odd thousand to play with right now, I think if we go to 12, we would be at 12 again next year and not have to
So we
raise
go
it.
from 22 down to 12 and hold.
And see where we're at next year this time to see what's going to flush out with more contracts. That's really that's kind of the big item. That and
So I make a
legal
motion
challenges.
that we set the maximum millage rate at 12.
And just, I mean, having the benefit of the $9 budget, because if you're adding 12, to the management, taking that 12 off of miscellaneous maintenance, you're still at a little under $50,000 in miscellaneous maintenance, so it doesn't change substantially. I mean, quite honestly, I could be very comfortable going to 9 or 10, which I was, back when this was first presented. And the other issue is that assuming that Lumberjack continues with the mowing after mowing is completed, we may never need a mowing contract again. It's possible. I mean, it's just that kind of thing. So, as Commissioner Marino mentioned earlier, I'm in favor of lowering this as much as possible. And my, prognosis for all of this is that, either Martin County and South Florida are going to continue paying assessments, and/or this district could easily end up with $1.5 million, windfall if the court's directed to pay all of the back assessments. So, and I've from the very beginning been optimistic that ultimately the district will win that lawsuit. So, I have no concerns about lowering this as much as possible, and I'm perfectly comfortable with the $9 assessment based on increasing the management to $36,000 and reducing the miscellaneous maintenance by $12,000. That's how we get there.
All right, so you made a motion at 12.
Maximum at 12.
Okay. Oh, maximum 12. Okay, so I didn't hear a second to this.
Why are we doing this? I thought we're talking about September 1st is when we make this.
Well, no, I would say it has to be, the latest it can be done is then. But we at the last meeting, I was directed to bring it back to this meeting. So when we were talking about not having the rest of this agenda, I was saying that September 1st is the latest we can do this, but we can do it now.
Well, I like her motion because then we can still do it again if we decide to go 9, right? Yeah, sure.
So right now, the only thing that you're tied into is you can't go above 15. That's what was put on the train. We can do anything 15 or lower between now and
You said we had, okay. When is the last time you said the trim notice
has
done at 15?
Right. So we can't go above 15
Okay. We have until September to lower it below 15.
to make your final determination. We can set a number now and then adjust that number again in September if you want.
2 meetings.
And if we adjust it to 9 now, we can also go back to 12.
Correct. As long as this is below 15, you can do whatever you want for the final. All we're doing is determining what the final rate that I give to the tax collector, or technically the property manager will be.
And you need that in September.
I can't make any changes after September.
So we really don't have to decide this now. We can continue this discussion.
Yes, you could absolutely continue the discussion, or like Bob said, you can make the decision now and then change that decision again in September. Up to you.
So
Actually, I'd like some time to.
I will.
I really haven't broached this subject at all with my staff or anything. I'm sorry.
No. I will withdraw my motion to 12.
I make a motion that we, if you have withdrawn, I make a motion that we postpone this decision to a further meeting.
Well, no later than September 1st.
Right, we continue.
So the next meeting is August 22nd. So that's the only meeting that we have before September 1st.
We also have a meeting scheduled for September
Still have one
1st.
for September 1st.
Okay.
Right. Now,
Does that give you enough time to submit the same day? You okay with that? I mean, if we really want to push us to the last minute, I want to make sure you have.
right. They'll usually give us a week or two at the beginning of September. They ask for it by September 1st just because it makes their lives easier, but technically I think they have to accept it up to,
September 15th.
right.
Gotcha.
It's just every county's like, could you get it to us by then?
Good.
So we try to do it in August. And quite honestly, I'm going to be honest with you guys, if we're having a board meeting August 22nd after the reconvened landowners meeting, my recommendation is that we try to take care of all of our business, because I don't want to turn around and come back a week later on September 1st. It's ridiculous. So the idea is that we would ultimately decide this
August
August 22nd.
Even with that humongous increase, you don't want to come back?
You're asking for a 33% raise, and now you want one less meeting.
So what's the motion?
The motion is
There's
to
really no
table the
motion right now.
conversation until
No later than August 7th.
Let me amend that. Let's just move this decision to
August
September.
22nd.
August 22nd.
August 22nd, okay. So motion to table to August 22nd.
But at that point, if you bring back several budgets, 9, 11, 12, I don't know what it.
I have another issue. You guys
Bring back, how about 9, 12, and then 15?
And we have a 15.
Yeah,
9 and 12.
9 and 12,
9, 12,
and we have 15.
okay, so, budget. With, obviously, making the cuts to the items that we talked about, the miscellaneous and the maintenance. Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Sounds good, thank you. You know what, we took that item out of order. I totally skipped, that was item number 6, not item number 5.
No, we talked about item number 5.
Oh, you can talk about it.
You're good.
I just wrote it down on the side. All right, new business. Consider officially amending Mr. McElligot's email dated 6/24/2022.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, it was a request. So my email is on page 12. There was an email, just so the board is aware of the full context, there was an email sent by Ruth, and I don't even want to try to butcher her name, the Martin County tax collector. That's just it. Okay, I'm going to go with that. She had sent an email confirming payment had been made in full. I had responded to that email stating what you see here, which is I didn't like the term, she was wanting me to confirm that it was made in full. I didn't feel comfortable with the term full payment. I voiced my concerns that not all of South Florida water management lands had been paid. Some had been paid, but not all had been paid. Also, the payments were just for 2021, and full might connote to somebody reading my email and public records request that somehow indicated prior years had been paid and they had not. So I voiced my opinion in this, and a board member saw this email and said that the exact language in question that he didn't think was appropriate was about midway in the paragraph where I state, I would say a more accurate statement would be full payment of PalMar Water Control District assessments on specific 4,954.45 acres of Martin County and South Florida water management owned lands for the 2021 tax year only have been made and received. The statement of full payment in that line was disputed by somebody, so they asked me to bring this to the board to officially amend my email. I'm not quite sure how that works, but I acquiesced and put this in the agenda. So at that point, I would turn it over to whoever wants to comment.
Well, no, I don't have any problem. It was me, and this came in, as you can see, was afternoon on Friday, and our meeting was on Monday.
Correct.
And the immediate question that had been going back and forth, and Mike had kept me, apprised of what was going on back and forth between the tax collector and his office, and there was a couple, at least, different revisions of the list that they were proposing to pay. And it started out grossly in error, and then it kind of got back to center. But the bottom line is that when the calculation was made for payment, it was based on having made this payment prior to June 1st. There was no, penalties assessed. There was no discounts applied, or actually what happened, correct me if I'm wrong, that both a discount was applied and no penalty was assessed.
Correct.
And the best way to immediately recognize that is simply go and look at the tax bill from Palm Beach County, the properties that were paid by South Florida Water Management District for properties in Palm Beach County. And Palm Beach County, beginning in 2016, has kept the properties on the tax roll. And each year, the tax collector issues a tax bill for those properties. Now, for some reason unknown to me, Martin County tax collector, on their own, not at the direction of this board certainly, took those properties off the tax roll. And so the statement, in my opinion, that payment in full was received by PalMar is simply incorrect. The in full payment
On those acres
would have not included any form of discount because they were paid after June 1st, and in fact would have incurred a penalty similar to the penalty that any other property owner in PalMar Water Control District experiences. So my personal opinion is that those assessments are not paid in full. And I'm not, this is no, I'm not blaming Mike. This was a flurry of emails, stuff that was going on late on Friday afternoon. I get it. I don't think it was intentional on your part. You were trying to answer a question and you went way out of your way to qualify that statement. But the fact of the matter is that Martin County did not pay in full their assessments for 2021. And additionally, as far as discussing this matter, somehow I would like to have this board address the tax collector in Palm Beach County, because all of those properties beginning in 2016 till the present need to be restored to the tax roll. And when and if the day comes that those property taxes or assessments need to be paid, they need to be paid in full without discount and subject to whatever the normal delinquency the assessments are for that. So that was the reason that, and it could be, I mean, the way you worded it, I didn't mean it to actually say.
I wasn't sure exactly what we're actually asking the board.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously you responded the way you thought was appropriate at the time, but I think that the position of this board is and should be that, these assessments are due. They're due for every year. They should be carried forward on the tax roll the same as every other assessment. And when and if the time comes to pay them, including 2021, that the amount due is without discount and subject to penalties. And it kind of answers a little bit what Zach had said earlier. In fact, that not only are Martin County not due any refund for 2020, the assessments that were paid in 2021, they actually still owe they don't get the benefit of the discount and they still owe a delinquency penalty. So somehow, if we can put that into a letter, I guess, to the tax collector.
Well, so that brings me up to something I wanted to make the board aware of, just because I don't know if you guys are aware of how it works. We as the district, as PalMar, we direct the property appraiser with a rate. Their job is to apply that rate to the properties within the boundary of the district. We, as PalMar, don't actually grant any discounts or assess any penalties. That's all under the jurisdiction of the tax collector themselves. So when we receive funds from the tax collector, we don't have any say of, hey, this looks like you gave them a discount when they should have, or hey, you didn't charge this person a penalty when you should have. That's not our call, that's not our purview. We accept the tax collector. Their job is to determine if somebody is paid or not appropriately, either applying a discount or applying a penalty or what have you. And then we accept what they give us as that it's been done properly. So just to make sure that the board knows, we, PalMar, don't actually assess any penalties for late payment. That's done by the tax collector.
But we do rely on statutes, and we're entitled.
We rely on the tax collector to rely on the statute.
And if the tax collector does not rely on statutes, we have recourse against the tax collector.
And that may be, that's
Because we have statutes or.
I've never done before, so.
Well, let me just reemphasize what he's saying. This district does not make that determination. We have an agreement with the property appraiser and the tax collector that they collect our assessments. They assess and collect. So that's the predicate upon which we receive our assessments.
I know we're going deeper than we might have anticipated.
Is there anything that says we are entitled to a penalty, or is the only thing that we are entitled to receive from the tax collector is the actual assessed amount?
Well, I will tell you that when a penalty is applied, it's applied to the tax bill as a whole. We, PalMar, receive our proration of the penalty, and then the county receives their proration of the penalty. So we do receive the penalty if a penalty is applied. We don't make the determination of applying the penalty, the tax collector does.
So whatever amount is remitted to us from the tax collector is what she feels is the appropriate amount.
Right, we accept the tax collector's distribution. If the tax collector is saying this property is paid, we rely on the tax collector to make the determination that property is paid correctly, either discounts or penalties applied. That's not a determination that we make.
So then, I think there's going to be a difference of opinion on the board right now. But we were paid by Martin County what they felt was the amount of money that we should receive. Is that
On
correct?
these specific properties.
For the year 2021.
Right.
So, and our statute says current year, correct?
What do you mean?
When somebody is,
We broke with the prior year,
For voting.
for voting purposes, it says current year. It doesn't say current and prior.
the prior year.
I'm sorry, prior year, but not years before that. So if, in this instance, if Martin County didn't pay in 2019, but they paid in 2021, they would be up to date because it says prior year, not prior and before.
The wording under 298.12 specifically said owners whose assessments have not been paid for the previous year are not entitled to vote.
Previous year,
Year.
Well, but-
singular, not years.
That's
Right,
correct.
but that's not the issue.
No, I realize that's not the issue. I'm trying to,
Yeah, no, I'm just,
Yourself out and we're.
I think how you wrote this is
It has
fine.
really nothing to do with us. It has-
well, it may.
I get it, because Michael's a representative of PalMar. And if Michael says in an email, full payment, somebody can go back in the future and say, well, here it is right here from your district supervisor. They said full payment, so payments may be full. I think what Bob's trying to say is, whoa, there are some issues here. So I think there's a couple ways to handle it. Number one, you can prepare a statement saying, I do not speak for the board with this. Just because it says full payment in here is not, it's not the representation of the board. This very clearly, you're not saying they made full payment and you're not saying they didn't. You're just saying when your words full payment does not mean anything and cannot be held against this board. I think that, Bob, is that?
I think what you wrote is accurate. I would say a more accurate statement would be full payment of PalMar water control assessment on specific lands for the 2021 tax year only have been made and received. I think you're very specific. I think it's very clear. It means that they paid in full for 2021. Doesn't mean that they paid in full for previous years.
No, they didn't pay in full for 2021. That's my point. They didn't pay in full for 2021, because
They did pay.
The question is,
We're obligated to receive the money from the tax collector. The beef is with the tax collector, okay? If the tax collector didn't do what the tax collector is supposed to do, knock yourself out. You are obligated for the tax collector to say, this is paid in full, correct?
right, the tax collector gave me
That's as far as your authority goes.
They gave me a list of properties and said, these payments, this payment that I'm sending you, 110,000, whatever it was, is full payment for these properties. And that's what I was confirming. I don't need to make the determination if they should have had penalties or not, unfortunately.
well, no, but my point is that, it's clear. It's clear that the levy of, they still call it taxes in the legislation. It's shall be at the same time and in like manner as the county taxes. That did not occur in this case. That did not occur for 2021. And right now, the way it's currently displayed, you're right, this is with the tax collector. I get it. but I think it's, important for this district to address it because, yeah, we're looking at moving forward one way or the other. And if somebody, for example, in the case of South Florida and Palm Beach County, they said, hey, we want to pay the tax bills on these properties for 2021. They got a bill. It showed a penalty.
Correct. When we received backup from Palm Beach County, it did list both the assessments and the penalties paid on those.
Yeah, and if somebody in this case, Martin County, can just go to the tax collector in Martin County and say, hey, just assess us the way, it shows on here, which it doesn't show that any, assessments were made for, I think now it's 2019 and 2020. I'm not positive on that, but there's a couple of,
at least 2
years, maybe 3, that Martin County will have inaccurately paid the bill, and in my opinion, not paid the bill in full.
I think what we're getting at is simply the term "full" in my email. I believe what Bob was meaning with this agenda item, and I apologize for not knowing the proper way to kind of list it because it's kind of an odd agenda item, is he would like the board to officially strike the term "full" from this email in the line where I say full payment of PalMar water control. Instead, I would say a more accurate statement would be payment of PalMar water control assessments on the specific 4,954.45 acres of Martin County and South Florida owned lands for the 2021 tax year only have been made and received. Just the word payment, and I shouldn't have used the term full. Is that basically the...
I'd say funds have been, the amount they received, just acknowledge funds they received. This is what was paid. It's not partial payment, it's not full payment, it's not your decision to make that determination. Just, we received your wire of this amount, period. I think that's the cleanest way to do it.
I don't think it's necessary.
Just acknowledge.
Just acknowledge the amount, this way it's clean, and if this goes down a bad path later, you're out.
Right. I guess I'd ask Mary, how does the board amend a prior email of mine?
I think it's just a statement.
Just a statement. So the board is making an official statement.
Oh, you?
I'm making.
You say I misspoke about, if this is how you feel, after the board's
No, there's
direction.
nothing to do. I serve at the direction of the board.
Right. The direction of the board
My words mean nothing.
was not for me to say full payment. The direction of the board was to say, and think more simply, I received the wire in this amount.
Okay.
That's cleaner.
So.
And maybe this will never come up, and maybe this is not a big deal, but I think to address it.
Right, so I should go back to this email and reply all to this email?
Yes.
Okay, so the direction of the board is to have me go back to this email, reply all to this email, that the term full payment was inaccurate and should have been said funds received.
I'd like to revise my email of whatever this language. Just
That's
funds
tax
received.
direction, our direction.
That's not, that's,
Well, I'm trying to figure out what okay, we're looking for.
I think the reply all, say my email of 624, at the direction of the board is to make sure that, we're not acknowledging full payment. The board isn't acknowledging full payment. And my email of 624 does not represent the board as a whole saying that we acknowledge full payment. We did receive your wire in this amount, period.
We need that as a motion?
Apparently, because it's not what we're
Okay. So, I'm just going to make a motion to direct
Second.
to apply all to email question.
I think if there's any question to this, the minutes and our discussion are what is on record. I don't think you need to amend this at all.
We have a motion, a second. I appreciate the comment, but let me just get this.
My point is this, whether it's Martin County, Palm Beach County, South Florida Waterman, any individual private landowner, everybody needs to pay the assessments the same. Equal to everybody, that's all. That's
Well,
all.
If Martin County thinks that this has been paid and they have remitted the money to us, they have accepted it and they have accepted the terms and qualifications.
Martin County relied on the tax collector to tell us what to pay our assessments in full. which is exactly what we did. If you've got a beef with how that was calculated or how things were applied, that's a beef with the tax collector, not with Martin County.
No, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
What the hell? This is just a discussion going on for 15 minutes about absolutely nothing.
Well,
Other than a future lawsuit. That's what this is all about, obviously. You know, we're not all stupid here.
well, listen, I don't know if it's proper or not, but I'm going to do it anyway. I mean, yeah, one of my objections, one of my, comments about the election is that Martin County did not pay their assessments in full, period.
But you rely on the tax collector to tell you if something's been paid in full.
Correct.
Right? You can't go outside of that. Right?
But I don't make that determination.
But that, Commissioner,
I'm done talking about it. Can we just make a motion?
no, because, no, you brought up the topic, it deserves discussion.
Well, you've been going on for 15 minutes. Let's not throw
Well, no,
words.
but there's more to the story, because the fact of the matter is, the tax collector came to Mike, because he was good. Mike's been great, he kept me in the loop on everything that was going on at the time. I don't know if he did it individually to each of the other commissioners or not, but he did it to me.
Whoever requested, I was sending to several people requested.
It probably is as a courtesy, and I appreciate it. But the fact of the matter is, no, who got set up here is Michael. And he got set up by the tax collector because they had him sign a form as though he were a landowner to say, yeah, just go ahead and send me a tax bill for 2021. That should have never been done. That should have never been done.
Yeah,
But that's
our
why
tax
we
collector
hired them.
is
It's
a
for their
constitutional officer. It's elected by the people.
Yeah.
Has zero to do with our county government and what we're talking about.
Well,
Okay? Move on, please. Other things that,
There is a motion and a second on the floor to direct me to go back and apply all of this email with the corrected language. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No,
I
no.
didn't mean to say
No.
aye, I'm just kind of.
So you know that?
No.
Okay, so.
The minutes, our minutes reflect the feeling of the board or the feeling of certain members of the board. I don't think telling you to write a new email is appropriate or necessary.
The motion passes 3-2. So I will send that to Bob. Okay. Administrative actions, financial report. It's in the books. We kind of already talked about it when we were talking about the budget. The only other thing, since I did broach the topic of the contract, if you want us to go ahead and prepare an updated contract to bring back to the board, I know we haven't officially approved the new budget yet.
At the 36?
Yeah, the 36.
Yeah,
That's appropriate.
but first and foremost, I mean, because I've been around since you've been around. And the fact of the matter, I've been a little longer than that. And the fact of the matter is, Michael, your predecessor, Todd, the services rendered by Special Services District has been exceptional for this district. And God knows you have gone far above and beyond what I think was anticipated in the original $24,000 contract. It certainly has been above and beyond what has happened in the last 2 years, you know, and just a decision made 2 years ago to have regular meetings and not, you know, arbitrarily cancel or not have meetings every 3 or 4 months has put an exceptional burden on you and your staff. So I believe personally, even though it represents a 33%, $12,000, $1,000 a month, probably even doesn't adequately compensate you for the work that has been done. So I have no reservations about preparing that contract. Now, just as an aside, though, all of these contracts, contracts with legal contracts with engineers, they all still have a 60-day, 30-day termination.
Every single.
Yeah,
They're all in there
They're
in there anyway, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to make those comments for the record because it's certainly true.
Thank you, appreciate it. Landowner items, do we have any landowners? Go ahead. Yeah, what's your name?
My name is Trent Rissacker. I own a property out there. I bought it in January.
Trent?
Trent, T-R-E-D. The last name is Rissacker, R-I-S-S-A-C-K-E-R. S-A-C-H-E-R, Stewart.
And did you sign in that?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
I'm here because I'm surprised I should have to be here. I don't know how many people have actually been out to PalMar that are here on the board. I don't know if you've driven around or if you've looked for in and outs of that. But there's really one entrance in, it's called Gate 1. And we drive through that and we make a right on the perimeter road. We go out to the other perimeter road and come back. At the end of that west perimeter road, which goes south, they put a gate up there. Now, I went through the, for y'all, and I got a little, because I don't know how many people have been out there, but this is my problem is, if we were to have a fire in PalMar, how could people get out? That's the gate, and they locked it. They put a lock there.
The gate was installed by South Florida at the
Yeah.
request of Dr. Reiner, FWC.
That's what I want to know, is who requested that? Did they even go around and think that maybe somebody might be blocked in from the fire? That's the area here. This is where we are. You come through there. The fire came through there. There's no way for anybody to get out anywhere except through that gate. And if somebody tries to breach it or go around it and get stuck, they're going to be stuck and everyone's going to back up behind it. And you know, fires are real. There's the locking of the gate. I think you guys probably know it. Now, there's another thing here.
Right. Just give one about.
Yep.
Got one.
Yeah. And this is the gate that shows the lock. When I was there, they put it up. I asked if they were locking it, and he said, no, we're not sure. But here's my Martin County vows a 65-acre brush fire in Martin County at Hungry Land. That was in 2015. Which came through there. And then we had another one that burned 28 acres in 2017. We had another one, 50-acre wildfire, now fully contained in Hungry Land. There's a 200-acre brush fire right in Hungry Land that affected Trailside last year, 2021, 200 acres. Now, it's like, there could be 200-300 people out there. This isn't something like Hungry Land where there's nobody out there. These are people that are utilizing ATVs, little fires. It's a very chance that this could be a fire here. And you know, if you want to, I mean, everybody's worried about mass shooters coming into buildings. If you want to stop and hurt a lot of people, you lock the exit where they leave, and then you burn them. And I'm not saying that that's intended, but who went around inside? If you were there and your only option was to go through that gate, that's the only way out of that property, unless you go through gate 1. Now, I'm not saying that once you get through there, we have any access. I'm not here about it in and out. I demand for that we please unlock the gate and remove the barrier today. It's dangerous. If there was a fire, you see what happens. I mean, it could be horrible. Does anybody have any comment on that? Nobody was aware of this?
Have you seen this one?
Did somebody
Sir,
plan
have you
this?
seen this?
I can comment on
I'm watching those.
familiar.
What the heck?
I spoke to South Florida, and I said, as a landowner, I would like the combination to the gate to get through, not because of the fire, but because there's an ingress-egress easement there. And they were told no. So I have started, personally as a landowner, I have started the process of obtaining legal access through that gate as a landowner. For members on the board who don't know what's going on, FWC put up a gate. They gave PalMar, the maintenance supervisor, me, the code to the gate so that we can get equipment through. So as PalMar, as a drainage district, we have access through the gate. As a landowner, I was denied access to the gate. Unfortunately, I understand your concern as a landowner, and I'm there with you, and I'm handling it as a landowner. But as a board, the ingress, egress for safety precautions, for legal access, for anything else does not, this board is powerless when it comes to.
I wasn't sure if I was even in the right place.
Yeah,
But I can tell you that I'm on the Hungry Land property owners. There's 260 people on there. I did not post this yet. It's the 50 Cent Army. I mean, fire's real. I grew up in South Florida since I was 12 years old. Maybe you're from up north, they don't have a lot of wildfires, but brush fires can happen like that. There's smoke, there's fire, and it moves very, very quickly.
So
That's all I'll say about it.
speaking to Dr.
I am
Reiner,
upset.
yeah, I talked to him and he said South Florida, he told me South Florida put the gate up at his direction. He requested it. So I think that he would be FWC leased the land from South Florida. The tenant requested the landlord put the gate up. The landlord complied. So I think that your concerns are valid. And I think that FWC and South Florida, I think, and I can give you whoever you need to talk to.
It should also be noted that that barrier was dug in with a machine. It was dug deep with concrete and rock. In other words, you can't move it. I want the whole gate removed, because if you wanted to be a horrible person and you wanted to go there and wrap a chain around that gate and go to the other end and throw some fire bombs out there. I mean, it happens. We live in an unusual, don't smirk at me, please.
Well,
it's
you
true.
know why I'm smirking?
Why are you smirking?
Because, first off, this is not property owned by us.
Oh, so I'm in the wrong place. That's fine. But I wanted to go on record that you're all aware of this, because I don't know where else to go. That's all. I'll sit down.
And I will just venture to say, if in fact there was a fire and Fish and Wildlife would be made aware, South Florida Water Management would be made aware, the gate would be opened. So now I realize you're talking about timing, and I'm not here to sound like an idiot, because trust me when I say this, we had a meeting up in Martin County and not in this building because we got our lives threatened. So I take everything that you say
I get
seriously.
that. And I don't mean it.
But I also understand that from South Florida Water Management's point of view and from FWC, they also have massive trespassers.
Well,
So there has to be...
They need to enforce their laws. They can't lock a bunch of people in a piece of area with only one exit out. That is wrong, and that's why I'm making this mention here, that you all are aware of it, and I'll find the next person to bring it to if nothing has changed, because otherwise people are going to cut that gate, and the gate has to come out, because you could wrap it tight.
We don't have the authority to tell them.
That's not.
It's not.
Sir,
I don't know where else to bring it to, though.
well, no, just so I understand, where is your property located?
I'm right here.
Oh, you're right, okay, so you're out.
Right there. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at it the wrong way. I'm right there.
Okay.
And this is the gate that leads, this is where they bought this. And you can't go through any of these areas here. These are moats and canals.
You're south of the gate?
I am right. Right now, I'm closer. My property is located exactly right here. So I can't go through. There was fire here. I couldn't go out through.
Where's north?
This is north. This is south. And there's the road that goes along. This is where everybody's arguing over that access right there.
Well,
Let me ask you a question, if I could, please. How long have you owned your property?
Since January.
This year.
And there's so many more people.
How many exits were there when you bought your property?
I don't.
I can answer that.
Two.
Yeah, but there was the one
Are you
in.
aware of a dispute between the two PalMar
No.
areas?
No, I'm not out about.
That's good enough.
More than a lot more.
Yeah, I'm not about that. I just want to have a safety place if there was a fire that people, because you know what happens is everything backs up on that road. A guy lost his wheel the other day on that road coming out from their ATV, by the way. And he lost that wheel and everybody backed up. There was 20 buggies that had backed up. They couldn't even get around because of that one wheel.
Well,
It just takes one person to make a
yeah.
mistake.
Well, I'm not trying to dilute your argument about the fire, but, clearly this is an attempt to deny access to probably,
I wasn't going there. I just don't want to.
two-thirds of the subdivision. But again, as Commissioner Marino mentioned, that's not our jurisdiction as long as PalMar. Can you get through the gate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Zach, can you get through the gate?
I can get through the gate as a PalMar supervisor only, not as a landowner.
Thank you. I don't know where else to bring it. And I thank you for all your service. I'm on a board also, and we all have these differences, so I understand the time it takes. But I gotta say something. I'm awkward,
Thank you.
No, I don't live there. I don't have a problem. You know what I mean? Anyway,
Are there any other landowners?
Kevin Cunning, I did sign in. I guess I'm going to speak a little on the doctor's comments, and he's right, there is a public safety issue out there, but in my mind, and in what my observance has been, that is more related to misuse of the works of the districts As you said, one car breaks down on the works of the district, which some people call roads, but we all know they are not roads. They are not ingress-egress easements. They are works of the district. So misuse of those works creates the biggest safety issue out there. The fact that the gate is blocked, the cars that shouldn't be on that, is kind of secondary, but the primary cause is misuse of those works of the district. As it was pointed out earlier, we've got crushed culverts, areas that are now filled in, etc. Again, works of the district, damaged by, unknown causes. Surprise, okay? That's what really needs to be addressed here, is the appropriate use of the works of the district. Okay, so that's enough for Dr. Ted. I'm going to go on to agenda items 1 and 2. I was totally confused by this. Take them back. Not unusual for me, by the way. But when I read the agenda items, I read them as A, talk to the Attorney General, get her opinion, I guess. And then 2, as it was even explained to me in emails from Michael and a conversation with Lou, that you guys are going to get together today and basically draft the wording for the recording on this easement. Well, surprise, show up today and the wording's already available, as I understand. You guys have a document. Where did that come from? Who directed that document to be made? It's a question. Can anybody answer it?
Well, I'll answer it. We prepared it.
But at whose direction? We haven't even had the meeting to direct you to do so.
Concerns were expressed at the last meeting, and concerns were expressed that if you had just gave direction to our firm to prepare an easement and that you all would immediately record, we felt that it was a grave concern that would be available. And so that's why it was prepared. The direction was authorize the easement and record. And from an ethical standpoint, we felt it was incumbent upon our firm as lawyers to make sure that that information was available. You can see with all the discussion that went on today about the 2 paragraphs, how much confusion it would have created. So as your legal representation, that item was directed with the specific way it was on the agenda, and as a transmittal and an information that was provided. And that was the reason.
Yeah, the short answer is, it was at the direction of the board. The attorney did what was requested.
Yeah, I'm still confused. Agenda item 2 says that is to be the purpose of directing the board. The explanation I received from Michael suggests that agenda item 2 would be addressed today and the board would be addressed. The board would be directed to draft this, engineering input, lawyer input. Let's move on. We just say this. The due consideration that our attorney has given the board is fantastic. She is looking out for our best interest. And her comment is that, hey, proceed with caution, basically. Let's think about it. The same thing with the board going to the Attorney General. Fantastic idea. Let's not leave board members out to flap in the wind, be personally liability for a decision that was made out of neglect. Let's talk to the Attorney General. Okay, so this is kind of where we are now. I understand there's some rough draft, we'll call it, of an intended recording on an easement. The due consideration process still has not really been completed. We don't have the Attorney General. Do we have a recent survey on all of the properties that will be affected by this easement? Do we even have the ability to write a clear, concise legal description of this property?
Yes.
We do, okay. And we know where Martin County grade was not, that's all been resolved at this point? No, okay, so maybe we're gonna run a road into something that we don't know the consequences of, okay? Let's talk about the Beeline Highway. Have we given any due consideration to the fact that we could have, well, we got 500 permits coming and go on gate 1 right now. We could have 500 vehicles coming and going with a wheel, flat tire, a slow truck, somebody in a minivan comes along and, you know, while we can excuse our liabilities away for what happens to people that are using that easement, we can't excuse the liabilities away from the public safety concern we're going to bring out to people that use the Beeline. And that little entrance is, I don't know, this is a quarter mile after the bridge. So somebody can do the math. Is that a 4-second reaction time? Is it a 7-second reaction time? Those milk trucks fly down that road at 70 and 80 miles an hour consistently. So, you know, it's just a minor concern, perhaps, but it is a concern. It is part of due consideration. Our sheriff, he is absolutely blindsided with a thankless task out there, trying to protect private properties, trying to protect the works of the district. Has anybody given due consideration to the sheriff's department and said, hey, what's going to happen when we open this up? Are you going to be able to defend the works of the district? Or, oh, well, sorry, nothing I can do. That's what I get from the story here. Nothing the board can do about it. We only take care of the drainage. And I'll finish it on this. If you guys are only taking care of the drainage, where is the benefit of opening up this easement? Who benefits? Is it the 30 or 40 people that immediately border that easement? Because that's the only ones you can get to. You can't use their properties to go here and there. There's no official easement. All it would do is basically enable a trespass. And I believe it's kind of going to put you guys in a bad position. So, final and last question. You've heard my spiel, the attorney has. Does ramrodding this thing too put our board members and our pro rata share property owners in a position where we can become personally liable for damages and issues that occur over a negligent decision or a decision that the board makes without giving fair consideration to the parties involved?
Mr. Carter, I just want to ask you, I mean, we received your letter, and we can make it a part of the, I guess it's part of the meeting book anyway, so your comments, all those things that you just reiterated are going to be in there. But, so in kind of preparation here, I looked up to see where I believe you own your property. How do you get to your property?
How do I get to my property? The last, prior to, and Dr. Ted's going to learn this too, when we finally get the definition of what these roads are, if we're driving, I'd be breaking the law. I would be. I'd either have to trespass over somebody's property, which Zach, you went to FWC and said, don't issue a permit over this road. Kevin, some other guy might be trespassing over my property to get to it. And the FWC honored your request, at least for a time. And when they issued me my permit recently, they said, passive means only. I can walk or ride my bike. So that's how I'm doing my property. I'm going to walk or I'm going to ride my bicycle. And I'm going to walk and ride over the works of the district until such time as a property owner takes full advantage of the law available to them and says, hey, this is my survey boundary, this is my property, I don't want you walking over it. In which case, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe crisscross through South Florida water management lands because they said I could. Does that answer?
Well, it's pretty clear to me. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. So right now, you cannot get past this newly installed gate that South Florida.
Sure, I go in over 7N, or I go in on the Beeline Highway through South Florida water management property, or I enter through any South Florida water management property that abuts the Beeline or any other public road or highway.
And you've been issued a permit to that effect?
I've been issued a letter, Zach, have you got a copy of that yet? Yeah. Okay. South Florida Water Management says within these boundaries, welcome to easement property. Passive means only, bicycle block. Very consistent with the objectives of the district and protecting the works of the district.
Okay. Never mind, these were just curious questions. You know.
Absolutely. I don't think my question got answered though. And that is, you guys failed to give due consideration to advancing this easement. Is the word perhaps neglectful? I read our insurance documents and they say in the event of neglect, take a hike. You guys aren't covered. So are you guys...
Well, I'm not the attorney, and I should defer to Mary, but there's an indemnification clause included in the easement. It's number 9.
And the board voted not to take action, so that they are considering.
But to answer your specific question, there's an indemnity clause in the easement.
All right, so then you guys are safe. But how about me as a property?
No, indemnity is from you for the board, yes.
It's enforceable.
No, he's worried about himself.
Oh, you worried about yourself? Yeah. That I can defer to the...
Within the easement recording document, you're saying there's an indemnity clause.
Well, first off, let me just stop you for a minute.
This is,
The normal procedure is we allow comment and we don't normally comment on your comment, but but having said that, we have postponed this discussion again because several of us also have further questions. So what we're going to do today is take your thoughts and questions into consideration. But we have moved this to after the next meeting.
It would be interesting to get your answers to your conversation before next.
It would. I'd love to have some. You know what?
Our attorney.
I'm going to borrow Michael's words. I'm the asshole. I'm the guy that says, I want to enjoy my property in a way that may be contradictory to others. Those people should have input too. They should be part of your decision process. As landowners, if they say, hey, we want to run ATVs up and down every stretch of the works of the district, maybe they should be allowed to address that. Okay? And you guys should respond accordingly. But that is due consideration for the property owners, for everybody. Not, again, my conversations with Michael left me feeling, let's say, just disenfranchised at the very least and surprised. There's this document already.
Well, and like I said, I got it today, so that's why several of us made the motion to postpone this. So your thoughts and questions will be taken into consideration by the attorney.
And I'd say thank you very much, and I'll just shut up.
But, and I know this got drug on much longer, and I brought this up earlier, but George, I don't know if you wanted to make a statement. George Rodriguez is one of the landowners. I don't see the other fellow.
Yeah.
Who had contacted me about the possibility of installing or repairing or replacing culverts in certain locations, and what process would be necessary from the district to get that approval or permit or whatever is going to be necessary to do that. So, I mean, that's the short story, George. I don't know if you want to add something to that, but we're just looking for direction because he's one of, I think, very many of the landowners out there that do want to do the right thing, but they also want to utilize their property to the maximum that they can. And part of that issue for a lot of the lots out there happens to be the drainage issue. So how those can be addressed and what needs to be coordinated through the district, that's, correct me if I'm wrong, George, but I think that was kind of the summary of the conversation we had.
Absolutely. My name is Jorge Rodriguez, and I'm a landowner. I went and I spoke to Bob after, this is my third meeting that I've ever been to, by the way. I went to the one in Stewart, and then I came to this one here today. I would like to see this district do something else besides argue and whatnot, because it's disappointing to see that our tax money is going to something that's a shamble. In my opinion, it's a shamble, because of the fact that Martin County hasn't paid their assessment in God knows how long. If it were me, I would be out of my property right now. And you know that, and she knows that, and you know that, and everybody here knows that, okay? And the fact that they come up, and that gentleman right there sitting in that chair is ridiculous. But besides that, okay, I think that you owe something to, because I voted for you, by the way, okay? My family voted for you, and a lot of the people that I know in Palm Beach Country...
Sir, if he's got something sensitive to
I am going to
say,
say something.
we don't need to listen to you.
You're from Martin County. This is Palm Beach County, by the way. Zip it, okay? You have no right here.
We're not,
Somebody...
hey, everybody! This is not a forum for insulting people. If you have a comment,
He's the one that...
I understand, but
He should have stopped.
I'm telling you right now, this is not a forum for insulting people. Make your comments, board if you can, reserve your responses. You don't have to, as a reminder to the board, these are public comments, you do not have to respond. There is nothing that requires you to answer any of their questions. You simply have to receive their comments. If you choose to respond, that's on you.
Thank you.
No more insulting. Seriously.
Same for him. Now, my issue is that I have a piece of property that pretty much I sweated and paid for, and literally I can't do anything with it because half of the time, or at least the last 2 meetings that I've been to, and the first one that I went to was about 2 years ago or 3, and I was disappointed because nothing gets done. Absolutely nothing gets done. You know, every homeowner in here has paid sweat and whatnot to buy their properties, something that they can't use. I don't mind the county taking their properties and preserving it for my kids, doing whatever it takes, because I agree with that. And by the way, the sense that some people say, we the government, it's not we the government, okay? It's our money that we entrusted into you guys that you mismanaged, by the way, because if the assessments are not paid, that's called mismanagement of funds, okay? If I were to do that, again, I wouldn't be in my property. What I want the board to do is, hey, give us a break, give us a chance. Give us a chance to say, you know what, apply for your culvert. We don't mind paying for the permit. We don't mind paying for, hey, you know what, put a road into your property. So that way, at least you can go out there with your kids and go camping, fishing, whatever it is, and enjoy that piece of property that we bought. But as of now, it's been years, and nothing comes out. Nothing but argument, nothing but, I mean, it's ridiculous. Why even go any further if you guys are going to keep spinning the wheels in the same spot? Instead of going, okay, we're going to take care of our government property. Yes, we're going to do what the board is supposed to do, which is issue permits for us to build, or I don't know if it's buildable or not, but at least have the opportunity to go out there and have a little place to camp. And we don't even have that. And if you're not going to give us that, then buy us out. Buy us out, plain and simple. But you don't even have the money because you mismanage your own money. That's pathetic. If you took taxpayers' money and you owe on your assessments, what kind of responsibility are you taking upon yourself with our money? You're not being responsible. Thank you.
I never normally, no. Palm Beach County has,
Yes, you're up to date.
we are up to date. We are current.
And that is awesome.
We don't waste our taxpayers' dollars.
Thank you.
I also sit here and represent 1.5 million people, those people who, some of which did not elect me, actually most of which did not elect me. And whether you elected me or not,
I
it's
swear
not
my
a
grandkids
discussion.
and my
Sir,
family-
you had your moment. Whether you elected me or not has no bearing on what I do at this meeting. We are a board of supervisors. We take people's opinion, we listen to them. That is what I'm doing. As a matter of fact, my opinion as a board of supervisors here is to protect, not my opinion, my duty is to protect the works of the district which are being destroyed because people have taken advantage of the works of the district, and they have brought in equipment that doesn't belong there. They have brought in vehicles that don't belong there. The majority, well, several of us on this board are trying to protect that and preserve it. Palm Beach County does not recognize any development rights on that land. Anybody that thinks they can develop on their property, they can't get a permit to do so because there are no development rights on those lands. I hope you all have heard that. There are no development rights on those lands. Now, some other board members here might dispute me on that, but in Palm Beach County, in Palm Beach County, there are no development rights on those lands, and the way you get to that, to your property, is passive. If you are driving a rig, a vehicle, which when I was out at PalMar, several times witnessed people doing that on works of the district. That is illegal. That is not allowed. You have property in there. Thank you for being a landowner. Thank you for paying your taxes. Thank you for paying your assessments. Palm Beach County has done that. My role here is to protect and do what the works of the district are required. So whether you vote for me or not is not part of the discussion. I am doing what I feel is best for the 1.5 million people in Palm Beach County, and my goal is also to make sure that PalMar moves up in the forever lands of Florida, of the state of Florida, because PalMar is a very important piece to the water flow in this district and in this environment. That is my role as a supervisor on this board. And I do not normally reply, and I did not take the bait, but people are very good at misinformation and disinformation, and I wanted to clear that up. Thank you.
Mr. Berman, your comment though regarding culverts. So
where it started.
Right. So, if I'm remembering, this conversation has come up in the past, and Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, anything to do with actually doing any work on culverts in the district has to come through us, because it has to be done by a contractor. We have to have insurance. There's a couple other requirements that we had to have. There has to be, we have to hold us harmless, all that stuff. So as far as an individual just going out and doing culverts in the property, it's absolutely not allowed. If there's an existing culvert that is damaged, that needs to be replaced, they need to come to us. If they think that a new culvert needs to be installed somewhere where there isn't one, my understanding in the past is that has to come to the board, and that work has to be done by a licensed contractor that we get insurance and everything on. People can't just go out there doing that stuff on their own, even if they ask for permission from a liability standpoint. It's my remembering of past conversations.
Well, no, I kind of remember that as well. I think the way it was approached to me initially was a simplified process for identifying where a problem is and how to correct it. And if it's as simple as cleaning out a culvert, or something like that, I don't know what the specific items might be. Zach could probably better address that. But the idea was that now that there's 1,000 people wandering around out there, more of these issues are being identified. And I think what George was thinking about, at least in our private conversation, was more of just a simplified process to get that to the board, get it recognized, have some plan of action to fix it. And yeah, but not just George, but a couple of the landowners say, well, hey, I can fix it. It's not a big deal, that type of thing. So if there's a way, to accommodate some of that.
A new culvert is different than replacement or repair.
Yeah.
A new culvert gets looked at on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Most of the limitations Michael was talking about is strictly proprietary rights associated with land ownership.
Right.
Don't mess with our right of way without our permission. But to get permission to put in a larger culvert or a new culvert, it's got to be handled on a case-by-case basis.
And yeah, and if you're doing anything in the works of the district, it has to come to us for, like I said, liability purposes.
Right.
It's got to be a licensed contractor, we got to get insurance and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
You can't just go willy-nilly in any of our culverts on the road.
Yeah, no, I get all that. Like I say, my reading of all this was that, how do you do it? What is the process? Where do you
In the past, it's
go?
just been simply email me or call me,
Yeah.
and I'll,
Bring it-
give the
bring it up.
information either Higgins or our maintenance person.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we don't have any other real process.
right.
Are there any other landlords?
I own my land since 2000.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
One Hamilton zone, Palm Beach County. I'm 600 feet from Indian Town Road. And so my zone is agriculture zone. Would I be able to go to tomatoes somehow?
I'm sorry,
I didn't catch your
Would I be
name.
able to grow tomatoes on my lot? I'm 600 feet from Indian Town Road.
I don't know if that's our call.
Zone agriculture.
I apologize, I still didn't quite get.
He's asking if he can grow tomatoes on his property in
Oh.
zone agriculture, and I don't think that's this board's call. I think that's the county.
It's definitely not our call. I mean,
and that would be something through the county.
you in
Agriculture County?
you in Palm Beach County or Martin County?
Yeah, I'm 600 feet from Indian Town Road.
I know, but in Martin County or Palm Beach?
No, Palm Beach County.
Okay, yeah, call Palm Beach County.
You don't need our permission.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
We
wouldn't
don't have
be the
any
authority.
say, yay or nay on that. Are there any other landowners?
I have a question. The name's Tech Watts. Talking about Mr. Rodriguez's property, we're talking about public works. We can't destroy the public works, I understand that. But Beeline Highway was upgraded a few years ago. His property is on Beeline. His property used to not be flooded like it is now. The berm from the improvement of Beeline has destroyed his property, in my opinion. I don't know if there were culverts there, like the engineer saying, that maybe he could fix those, but I've actually looked at his property, and it's really nice, but it's underwater, and it's never been underwater.
Because of Beeline.
Because of Beeline.
Yeah.
And I don't know this man. Just putting two and two together right now, I've always looked at that property, and it was never flooded. A lot of the property between Beeline and the power lines was never flooded like it is now. And it's dry now. This is the driest it's been in years, and he's still knee-deep water.
It's ridiculous. It's killed all my pine trees. It's killed half of my property.
That just wanted to,
And it's a fallout from Beeline, the drainage.
There's somebody maybe wants to speak to that right there.
Yeah, because of when there was the issue with the county project that was going on, we actually looked pretty closely at the pine mortality event that was occurring throughout that western part of PalMar. And it was my belief that that was definitely connected to the widening of the FDOT property. But I think, and I didn't really see the area before that work was done. But it looked like there was a drainage ditch, or there was actually a ditch on the north side of Beeline Highway. And when they came in, they put their retention area, but then a berm. So that water could no longer go south and got stuck into that area.
My property.
So I was on a meeting with FDOT and the Water Management District bringing up those concerns, but I don't know what has ever happened to that. So it sounds like that complaint should be with FDOT, since they were the entity that caused that to happen.
Well, their pipes are actually lead into my property. The pipes are open directly into my property, so when it rains, all the fallout goes right into my property. I have 8 acres there. I have a beautiful lake in the back that I could go camping with my grandkids and fish and do whatever, because the other half of the property is owned by South Florida Water Management or Palm Beach County, I think. The 8 acres next to mine. And they're unusable because of what happened with Beeline. And it should be either that or give me a permit, at least say, you know what, fill in the property to what it used to be. That way you can use it since you're draining into my property. But I don't even have the opportunity or anything to do anything with that property that I actually wanted to build a house on.
There's no development rights. I will repeat myself.
Well, I think...
And Zach has a different opinion.
No, I'm not talking about development rights. I'm talking about the water, the flooding. Barton County's aware of it, you're aware of it, Tech, you're aware of it, I'm aware of it, we're all aware of it. It happened because of Beeline. There were things that were missed. A lot of properties are affected. And it's not just your property, that water backs up north.
Yours. It's going into yours now because you're right next to mine.
So, Mr. Higgins, since the water is backing up within the PalMar boundaries, and PalMar does have easements and drainage easements and works with the district where it's backing up, do you think it'd be appropriate for PalMar to open up a line of communication with FDOT regarding the drainage that did occur versus what occurs, lack of drainage that occurs now?
I think it's appropriate because this is a common complaint that's been going on ever since they widened the Beeline.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize something's changed. If you look at 30-year-old pine trees, they're dying. Yeah.
I would also speak with the Water Management District. I know Jim Schutte had expressed some interest in that issue. So there.
I'll give you a call on it. We can try to notice. Yeah, we need to let.
I mean, interestingly enough, because it's purely coincidental, but the other couple of inquiries I got are from people from Palm Beach County, and they're either on or adjacent to the properties that front the Beeline there. So obviously it's a problem for at least those properties in particular.
I'll look into it.
Okay. Commissioner Marino, is that your district?
Yes, it is.
Do you know anything about that?
This is the first I've heard.
Okay.
So your coming here to this meeting was the right thing to do.
Thank you. And I apologize because I am very angry because of what's going on. And, I bought that property with intentions of being able to use it, and it's crazy.
Using it for passive
I mean,
use,
this
yes.
thing is like that piece of water now. It didn't used to be like that.
This is the first that's been brought to my attention. So by your being here, the board is directing our engineer and our management team to continue the discussion and further the discussion with FDOT and South Florida Water Management.
Yeah, it's in Martin and maybe Palm County. I thought it was more focused in Martin County. The further west you go, the bigger the problem is.
Hence, just to make it a point, hence that's why I made the suggestion of the culverts, because at least I could build a road going back to where I was able to go, which didn't used to be underwater, but now it is, and actually enjoy the lake or have a little camping area for me and my grandkids to go out there and my sons, and go fishing and whatnot. But
Can take it. Can take that.
But there's no road building in PalMar.
Well, no, it used to be dry. I mean, I could drive back there when I bought it. Now, because of Beeline, it's underwater, is what I'm saying. So who's going to remedy my situation that whatever created, that's what I need is help remedy this.
Just to interject, but they are offering to help understand and possibly consider mitigation of that damage. Not that they will be able to do anything but damage.
Well, that's what
But without me knowing it,
Yeah.
then I don't know then I couldn't give direction. But now that I know, so, we can't just go like this and make it better. But we have to do the right process.
It's like me building a house next to yours and building a house this much higher than yours, and then all of a sudden your property's underwater because of mine, my building, which in a sense, it's illegal because technically you're supposed to build a berm around that house, and all your water's supposed to go to the easement of the right of way in front of your property, because that's what I do for a living, earth work. And here, DOT just is bleeding into everybody's property.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're gonna get with Michael, right? Michael? Okay. And you guys will get with that DOT and figure out getting maybe some, at least some more in the conversation.
Mr. Higgins, you think you can have something for the next meeting? You think you can have something for the next meeting to bring the board up to date with how far you got with
At
FDOT?
least report back to the contact.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Anything else? What's next?
Any other landowners? Any comments from the public for items that weren't on the agenda? Hearing none. Any board member comments? Lou?
Very quickly, the gates to the district property on Beeline, the gates that are there for the property that the district has. The lock's been cut off, which was our lock, and somebody put their lock on there, and that lock is now broken, and there's nothing securing that gate. My question is this: is that gate our jurisdiction? I would assume it is, because Zach got it installed where we own property. I think we cannot get any help from law enforcement unless we can't, period. But I know that we can put a sign on there and then ask Martin County, and we can register that piece of property with the trespassing law through Martin County. There's a formality for something like that. But for now, I'm asking that I can go back out and put a lock back on that with the original combination access and re-secure it, or Zach can, one or the other. But we do have a problem out there, and it has been damaged. That damage has been fixed. But there are tracks, and it appeared that it was a large tire buggy, swamp buggy that went through it. And it's directly adjacent to FWC's property. So if we can secure the gate and then ask law enforcement to help us keep an eye on the gate, I think FWC would accommodate us.
Which gate is that?
That is the gate to the only piece of property that the district owns, and that's on Beeline, out by the power line.
The 150-foot swap?
Yes.
Is that what it was through that gate?
Where the Australians were removed.
Right, okay.
That piece.
the big culverts are?
Yeah, we're further out than that. But you know where we're at, so with everybody's permission, I just let everybody know that one of us will re-secure that. I'm not trying to be the property management, but I'm still running back and forth up to Cherry City all the time, so I see it.
You said you put a lock on it? Or there's no lock on it?
The lock that's on it is damaged.
Got it. All right. I'll put it lock.
Is there anybody allowed to use that property? I mean, this is somebody that's going around. No. Okay, that take care of that. The second thing is the berm around PalMar that had been graded at one time. The owners are now taking it upon themselves to keep it graded. That's the works of the district. That's under our jurisdiction. As far as I'm concerned, they shouldn't be touching that berm at all. They have a drag belt. They're using a drag out there. The berm is getting lower and it's getting wider. Is there an elevation that we're supposed to meet on that berm when it was built?
Sure. Well, I could look it up,
If you get a chance, just see where.
I could look it up.
Okay. So if one of us happened to run into somebody out there dragging that, trying to fix the road, we would not be stepping out of our place to tell them that this is not their responsibility and they should not be doing it.
I disagree. You're talking about the perimeter road going
Yes.
around the east section by Prattwood.
Yeah. East section about. Yes. Yeah.
Talking 2,800 acres. The road comes in from Pratt, goes west, and goes north, then it goes west, and then goes
Yeah.
south. Yeah. It's a levee, perimeter levee. It's on a 50-foot easement. There are multiple groups of entities that have an easement. PalMar has a drainage easement on that 50 feet. Landowners, the same way.
Yeah, this is important. We'd love to hear. But we can't hear you.
No, it's there. 50-foot easement is, yes, PalMar has an easement over. We have the ability to use it to do our works that we're supposed to do. We can travel on it, we can maintain drainage on it, half of it's a ditch, a drainage ditch. There are other entities that have an easement over it as well. Every other entity in the state of Florida, the Sheriff's Department, FWC, Martin County. Landowners also have access, ingress, egress, over that 50 feet.
I agree.
So landowners, just like PalMar, they're the dominant tenant, and if you have an easement over something, with that comes the right to maintain. So if there's a pothole, PalMar, we have an easement over it. We can fix that pothole. A landowner has an easement over that same 50 feet. If there's a pothole, they have the right to maintain that. They can fix that pothole. So by PalMar, Board of Supervisors going out there and telling a landowner that they can't maintain the road, fill in a pothole, I don't think that's PalMar's place.
So you're, okay.
That's just coming from me. There might be someone.
If that's accurate, so you're saying that if there was a pothole on the road, whoever owns the property that has that pothole on their ease is the only one that can fix it?
No, I'm saying the person that owns the property does not have the requirement to fix it. The person who has an easement over that has the ability to fix it if they so choose. The person who owns the property has the responsibility not to block that.
This was lost in the noise, but a quick question. You're talking about from Pratt Whitney Road to what is the border of Hungryland properties, where it's PalMar district.
And then all the way around.
Lou is speaking about roads within the district, along the perimeter.
No, I'm talking the perimeter. I'm talking the road going in, and then the perimeter around it until it comes up to the gate, the new gate.
I see the roads moving everywhere, so I'm not sure where you're.
I just want to get clarification because one of the gentlemen who's doing the drag I know real well.
What are they doing why are they doing the dragging?
Smooth the road.
But are they changing the elevation of it by doing that?
That was my earlier question.
Yes.
That particular segment that you're talking about is a levee in the original PalMar plan to keep water out. It's not to keep water in, but it is a specific elevation to keep water from coming in. But there is what I call, or I always thought was a Scribner's error in the description of it, because typically it would not be assigned to the public, but that particular segment of the levee is assigned to the public, which opens it up to use by all landowners. So it's an exception because it's not continuous. It stops just when it starts going westward again.
I think Bob said he was going to look into the elevation requirement to see if that is getting dragged below.
Well, that was just a question. The other question is just, should we be maintaining that better for the landowners, or should we, that's the question I have. I mean, who has the jurisdiction? Should we be accommodating the landowners? I understand that the berm is shared by landowners, not public, but landowners. And should we be accommodating them? Oh, we've already graded it one time and fixed it up.
Part of it, it's maintenance, it's ongoing.
That dedication language makes it a public access point. And that's why it's being left open at the present time. But it stops just about where that new gate's put in. That's no longer a public access point.
You saying public or landowner?
Both.
It's the public's access over that easement has yet to be accepted on behalf of the public. So public does not have access over it. But the easement that comes around for PalMar, we'll speak to PalMar, goes up, comes west, back down south, through the new gate, and PalMar's easement goes down to the grade. And then PalMar's easement continues back up northwest up the grade, back down south, and then west again. You follow me?
Sure.
The landowner's easement stops short of the grade. and cuts due west through Armstrong's pasture, through FWC's Hungryland and WMA, and then picks back up on that east-west road west of all this. That landowner, 50-foot landowner access easement has never been cleared, never been cut. Okay, so that's where PalMar and landowner easements diverge.
So we're good with what's going on out there?
Well, Bob's going to check the elevation and see if it's getting to a point where it's in violation of whatever the elevation is.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other board member comments? Hearing none, I'll look for motion to adjourn at 12:46.